Hi, this is Professor Ben. Are you ready for your meeting? Okay, well, I sent you the links so you can use it, get onto it. I think you said you had some problem with with your laptop, but you can still use you can still use your phone. Okay, I mean, you know, you can access the messages I sent you, SMS and email. Yeah. By what? I did already. Okay, hi, hi. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Oh, yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay, so can you see the screen?
No, I can see the screen.
Oh, that's a problem. Can't you see it on your phone?
Oh, no, I can see.
You know, I can use Zoom on my phone. Are you sure you can't use Zoom on your phone?
No, I can't use it.
Uh-huh. Can you turn on the screen? Can you see my, so if I share screen here, and I think this is the can you see this screen?
Oh, yes, I can see it, sir.
Okay. So let's look at your I know you said you had some kind of computer problems. I guess you got that fixed. So, so here is here is your paper for the American history class. And so I want to remind you, to use and cite information, you have to be specific in using information from at least three different chapters, from chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of the Zinn book. And you can, yeah, go ahead.
Professor, I used the site in the textbook, but I didn't put the pages on my paper.
Okay, put the pages in. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, that's good. So you know where to find this information in the book.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, right? So you know what when I said you should be you can what do I say here? I suggest you use the index of in the back of the book to find information. Do you know what the index is?
Oh no, I don't know what is
index
this.
is like here. I just have a photocopy of the book. I don't have a copy of the book. I so at the back of the book you see this. It says index, right? Index
is that our textbook?
Yeah, this is a photocopy of it. This is a paper copy of it, but you see it says index. And at the index, you can use the index to look up by ideas and concepts. So you can see the word index here, right? You see the word index, you see index, it says index, see? You can look up by alphabetical order. So like where does you look at Pequot Indians? Daniel Flynn talks about how Howard Zinn is wrong about the Pequot Indians, or is incomplete about the Pequot Indian case. So you go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, P. Pequot Indians. It's on page. It says on page 1415. So you see Pequot Indian here. Page 1415, okay? And so that's where you find specific information about where Zinn talks about the Pequot Indian case. And you can put those page numbers in your paper where you talk about, if you talk about the Pequot Indians or Columbus. You can look up Columbus, you can look up the Civil War, you can look up slavery, anything that you want to look up, maybe because you want to use the Flynn essay, the Flynn critique of Zinn, to guide you in terms of comparing and contrasting how Flynn and Zinn discuss Pequot Indians, Columbus, the Civil War, slavery, Abraham Lincoln, whatever you want to compare, and you can use that index in that way to easily find the information. Okay, I mean, we do this all the time in academic work. I mean, there's many books and articles published every year. I don't read all of those books and articles. I look for specific information in those books and articles, and then if I use information, I have to reference those articles and books that I use, whose information I use. So it's just common practice, and it also is useful because it makes the reader believe that, oh, this statement is not just Ryujay's opinion. Ryujay's got evidence. See, she's got evidence from Zinn to support what she claims to be true, a truth statement, a statement about something being true. And you have to prove that truth statement. You have to prove it with evidence.
Professor, so don't put my opinion in this paper.
You can you put your opinion, but don't say it's your opinion. Don't say I think, or in my opinion. Don't say that. Never. I say do not use first person. Whenever you write a statement, it's a claim of truth. All right, but then you have to prove it. You can't just state it. You have to prove it, and you prove it by providing evidence from scholarly sources, like the Zinn textbook. Okay. That's how you provide evidence to prove to me that your truth statement is in fact correct. Okay, so that's what we do in academic writing. We make truth claims and we try to prove to the reader, other academics, that they're right, that they're correct. And that means you always have to use and cite scholarly peer-reviewed information from other sources. So I do that. That's what I spend much of my day doing, right? Is going to the library website. You know, I think I showed you this in class, right? I mean, if I show you what do I mean by scholarly peer-reviewed sources, you go here, for example, and let me share this screen with you. So share screen, and so you can see this is a place I've been working on today to look for information. So that you can see, I looked up production of ignorance, agnotology, and climate denial, and you can see it says here peer-reviewed. That's like the Zinn textbook. That means it's a scholarly source, and it means for something to get published, it has to go through a process by which professors read it and evaluate something and decide whether or not it's good. And typically this peer review process is anonymous. Like when I submit a paper somewhere, it goes to two people. I don't know them and they don't know me. My name is removed from the paper. And it's called a double-blind peer review process. And they typically are pretty nasty. And so look what happens when I remove that check there. Oh, well, session ended, but you get, there's a lot more sources. I mean, this, okay, so you see, agnotological text, Howard Zinn. So just look up Howard Zinn in the, anywhere, full text in this, in the library has this database called ProQuest. So what did it do? Okay, full text, put in Howard, fuck you, sorry, Howard Zinn, quotation marks, so it looks for the whole word, and then we go search. And see 7,912 results, because where Howard Zinn is mentioned somewhere in that article. But look what happens when I click here, peer reviewed. It drops to 837. And so it's difficult to get stuff published in peer-reviewed work, right? Howard Zinn, the People's Historian and Labor Journal, the second worst history book in print, Rethinking People's History of the United States. Ooh, this person doesn't like Howard Zinn. Whoever this is, I don't know. Artist in Time. Wow, look at, this is an article by Howard Zinn. See, it's from 2007. Let's click on, see what Howard Zinn wrote here. This is one of Howard Zinn's articles, not his book. Okay, so this is like written, published 3 years before he died in 2010. So you have a role of artists. Well, this looks interesting. I have to check this out. Okay, so that's what you need to do. So when you look, for example, you see Howard Zinn, he has a in-text source citation. He has in-text source citation. He's referring to Mark Twain. You can see in-text source citation. This might not be Eugene O'Neill. I mean, he shows where he gets the information. And then you can see at the bottom here, all of the references that correspond with the in-text source citations, works cited. So that's interesting. Howard Zinn, that's interesting. I didn't know Howard Zinn did work with Noam Chomsky. Wow. Because Noam Chomsky's still alive. He's like 100 years old. And he's one of these people that Flynn hates, along with Howard Zinn, Noam Chomsky. You'll read later in the book, Gar Alpovitz. These were called New Left historians or New Left intellectuals who emerged during and after the Cold War, after the Vietnam War. So let's go back to your paper, and I have to redo the share to go back to the paper. And so here you see the paper, your paper, and when I read Flynn's essay on Zinn, he hates Zinn, and so he says Zinn's book is biased, right? If you look at if you go back to the course assignment, you go to American history here, and I stop to share and I show the share screen, and we go back to the course, you go to the assignment here, and you see history, midterm first round. It's called Howard Zinn's Biased History by Daniel Flynn. And so let's stop the share. Let's go back to your paper. And there it is. And but do you think Flynn is not biased? Is Zinn biased and Flynn not biased? Or do you think Flynn is also biased? What do you think? Do you think Flynn is emotionally biased? Do you think his view of history is more accurate or more correct than Zinn? Or is Zinn more accurate or correct than Flynn? Do you think Zinn is biased?
No.
No. So is Flynn biased? Is Daniel Flynn biased?
Just a little bit.
I think, Zinn, I don't think he wouldn't say bias is a bad word. You don't want to be biased, because if you're biased, you're supposedly not a clear thinker. You're allowing your emotions to cloud and obstruct your brain. That's what Zinn states, I think at the beginning of the book, and even before the first chapter, like in the introduction, he says all historians have a theoretical framework that they have in their brains, in their minds, that they use to interpret the information up here in the brain, including information they get from about the past. And that theoretical framework is like the lens on glasses. It shapes and affects how you see the world around you, including history. And your theoretical framework is like a lens of glasses. And everybody has a lens. They're not the same lens, but everybody uses a lens to do history. And Zinn's lens, what do you think is the theory name for Zinn's lens? What is Zinn's theoretical framework called? I mean, Flynn tells you what it's called: Marxism. He calls Zinn a communist. And I think Zinn is. I mean, Zinn does. I think he is definitely using a Marxist framework for his analysis of American history. And so, whatever theoretical framework you have, your framework will tell you or point you towards what you view as really important. Who are the most important actors in history or in society today? And for Marxists, the most important actors are classes: the working class, the peasant class, the middle class bourgeoisie, the ruling class. And these classes are in conflict with each other. They're in conflict with each other over control of the economic resources, what Marx called the means of production. So we say, okay, we'll say that Howard Zinn's theoretical framework is Marxism. What kind of label or name would you give to Howard Flynn's theoretical lens or theoretical framework? What name would you give to Flynn's theoretical framework? And I think I told you in class what it would be. It's called American exceptionalism. It's positive American exceptionalism, that America is not just different and unique, because all countries are unique, but America is truly positively unique compared to the rest of the world. Yeah, it's founded by European people from Britain and other places and other Europeans, but it's different and better than Europe, and different and better and what's the proof? What is the proof or evidence that Flynn is using for his claim that America is not just exceptional, it's positively exceptional? And when you read the Flynn article, he says Flynn attacks, and he says Zinn doesn't talk about any of the great things that America did. He doesn't talk about America's first achievements, like, for example, putting a man on the moon, sending people to the moon and coming back, not just once, 5 times. And I think Flynn's argument is that America is what's the proof for Flynn's claim that America is positively exceptional is that America is so influential around the world. America is so powerful and influential around the world. And why is America so powerful and influential? What do you think? Why is America so influential? Is it because of American weapons, American fist, American military? Or is it American money makes America so influential? No, that's part of it, but that's not sufficient to explain why America is so influential around the whole world. America is so influential around the whole world because people admire America. So many people around the world admire America. They like America. They want to be like America. So many people in Korea, in Asia, in Europe, in Africa, they admire America. And they admire America because America has achieved amazing things for the prosperity and freedom of people, Americans, and the whole world, not just Americans, you, me. I mean, my father came to the United States from Italy. But if you read Zinn, you get nothing about that. No, you have no explanation for why America is so admired. Instead, you read Zinn, and what do you read about? Colonial, racist, imperialist oppression and exploitation of rich, powerful white men against weak and the poor women and blacks and workers. And oh, but and I think, you know, I think Flynn's argument with Zinn is not really just with Zinn. It's not primarily with Zinn. Zinn's been dead for 11 years now. But his argument with Flynn, I'm sorry, Flynn's argument with Zinn is really with me and my college instructors and high school teachers that make students like you read Zinn. So Zinn wrote a book that Flynn doesn't like. So what? There's lots of people that write things people don't like. What he doesn't understand and what he hates is why people like me and lots of people like me make students like you read Zinn. Out of all the books you could read, we asked you to read Zinn. Why are we asking you to hate America? Why are we making you read this book that if you read this book, you should be ashamed of your country. You almost should be ashamed of America. That was based upon extermination of the Indian population, and then slaves were brought over, and then they oppressed and they stole Texas from Mexico. I mean, why you should almost, after reading Zinn, you should be ashamed to be an American. But this country, America, saved the world. It saved the world. It saved you and me from the Russian version of Nazi Germany, the Soviet Union, because it won the Cold War. And why did it win the Cold War? Because people admire America, and the American people admire basic, fundamental American exceptional values, what we called the American Creed in class, right? From that book by Seymour Martin Lipset that I used to use in this class, but it's been, he's been dead for a long time, and the book hasn't been updated, so we have to use other books. The American Creed: small government, free market capitalism, democratic political participation, equality, and individualism. But the key element here is small government and free market capitalism. That is what made America great, made America the most powerful country in the world, made it so rich and prosperous, together with democratic politics, democratic elections, a democratic political system, explains why America is admired, is powerful and admired and therefore powerful in the world. And the willingness of the American people to fight for those values and fight for the sources of evil that want to undermine and destroy those values, like communism, like the Soviet Union. And America had to pay a price. America fought in the Korean War, lost, a lot of soldiers, but a lot more Koreans died. And then America fought in places like Vietnam, and that was done badly. The Vietnam War was done badly, but America still showed the will and determination, in spite of people like Howard Zinn, in spite of people like Noam Chomsky, because Howard Zinn and Noam Chomsky, they're emerging during the Vietnam War, and they become really influential as thinkers and scholars during the Vietnam War, as activists protesting against the war on college campuses, protesting against the war. It wasn't just college students and professors, but college students and professors were key groups in the anti-war protests. And then, of course, America didn't perform well in Vietnam, but it was a mistake made by people like Lyndon Johnson, who was president of the United States in the 1960s after Kennedy was murdered, who made the decision, a Democrat, who made the decision to send the US troops into Vietnam, and also tremendously expanded socialist policies in the United States. Remember, America is supposed to be free market capitalism, small government. Lyndon Johnson also expanded socialist policies in the United States to provide social justice for poor people. And then it was a Republican, Richard Nixon, with Henry Kissinger, that was able to get the United States out of Vietnam without looking like it was completely humiliating, although it still was a very sensitive topic. It still is a sensitive topic for Americans today. And they lost the war because Americans like to believe they're the good guys. Good guys win, bad guys lose. If you lose a war, it's because you're bad. You're the bad guy. So how could America lose a war? We never lost a war before, then we lost the Vietnam War. And so Zinn and other people on college campuses are emerging to explain what happened in Vietnam in ways that make America look like the bad guy. Killed all those people in Vietnam for what? And why? And why did that happen? And then for people like Zinn, they want to go back and say, what are the roots of this disaster? And the roots of this disaster emerged long before Vietnam. America became blind and stupid because of its racist nature of the American ruling class. Racist capitalist ruling class was blinded and ignorant about the rest of the world because of their racist, imperialist, capitalist motivations. And it wasn't just Vietnam, it was going back to the founding of the United States by racist capitalists. And for people like Flynn, this is infuriating because it was a Republican under Ronald Reagan who became president after Jimmy Carter was an incompetent president, supposedly, who allowed America to be humiliated in Iran during the Iranian Revolution, when American embassy personnel were held hostage, when America's enemies attacked our friend Israel in the Middle East and caused the Arab oil crisis, that caused oil prices to go up and up and up, and made the American economy weak. And then communism expanded in Africa because Jimmy Carter didn't stand up to them sufficiently. And they expanded in Central America, in Nicaragua, and were expanding elsewhere because Jimmy Carter didn't have the will and determination to resist it. And then Ronald Reagan won election in 1980. And thanks to Ronald Reagan and the Republicans, the Americans were rallied behind the American leadership to pay the price of fighting for freedom again. And by 1989, 9 years after Ronald Reagan was first elected, the communism collapsed in Eastern Europe. And then in 2 more years, the Soviet Union disappeared. In spite of people like Howard Zinn and Noam Chomsky undermining the will of the American people to pay the price, because Howard Zinn makes American students feel ashamed of their country. Who's going to fight for America after you read? Why would you fight for that country described by Howard Zinn? And now there are new challenges, new threats. Islamic militants, China, the People's Republic of China that America used to help defeat the Soviet Union. Now they are challenging America's fundamental values of democracy and capitalism. But you know, I think that's that Flynn hates people, particularly America. He wants to understand, what's the problem with American intellectuals? What's the problem with American college campuses, American universities? Why don't they love their country? Why are they so embarrassed by the United States? What is the nature of American college professors that they are trying to undermine the traditional American creed that made America great? What's their problem? Don't they like capitalism? Are they trying to, they could become college professors because they're unhappy people, and so they're going to brainwash you and the other students to be like them so that they feel like they have a reason to exist. Do you have any questions before we move on to your other paper?
So I have to do. So I have to put. So I have to indicate pages and also indicate indexes on my midterm.
Just the page numbers from the Zinn book.
Okay.
Okay. And make sure you use information from at least three different chapters, from chapters 1 through 12. Okay. You understand?
Okay.
And you know, this is being recorded, so I'll send you the link to this, you know, after this, so you can look at it again if you want to. The nice thing about YouTube also is that they put like English subtitles, I think, on the recordings automatically, so that's always convenient. So let's close that paper and then go back to talk about your other paper and European Union. Yay, European Union! And so let me open up that paper here, and so let me make that a little bit bigger. So let me see what I wrote here. I'll just remind myself. Okay. Yeah, so put the page numbers in. Okay, so you say
okay.
chapter 9. I want to one of the reasons why I want you to put the page number in is because I want you to be very clear about, very specific about what information you're using. So you might think, yeah, in chapter 1, Olson writes about how Winston Churchill founded the European Union. And then you go back and check and you say, oh no, it wasn't Winston Churchill that founded the European Union. It was the French and the Germans who founded the European Union. And it was a French plan. And because you go back and check, right? And so, you know, please, you know, put the page in. So, you know, let's go through this. Chapter 1, European Union is a unique organization, thoroughly industrialized, and requires much more willingness to work than any other regional organization. So I can, and you know, again, by putting in the page number, you're more likely to persuade your reader that, yeah, this is true. So, so you're saying, yeah, I mean, that's a good point, that the European Union works because the European leaders want it to work. Because that's what requires, much more willingness to work. In other words, that this works because there's some kind of commitment among the leadership of the European countries, not so much in the British country, not so much in Britain, obviously, because Britain left, the United Kingdom left the European Union, but amongst the ruling establishment in Germany, in France, in Italy, in Spain, there is this commitment to making this European Union work. And I think that's a focus on what's called constructivism, by the way. I mean, I think there's a discussion in chapter 1 in Olson about theoretical frameworks for understanding, trying to analyze the European Union. We talked about theoretical frames in the previous paper. So there's different theoretical lenses, and one is constructivism. And constructivism really focuses upon many things, but particularly on the power of ideas. And that you cannot understand the functioning of the European Union unless you understand that among the ruling elite in Europe, there is this commitment among the elite that this must work, which is interesting because it's not something that the mass public in these countries necessarily understand or agree with or even think about. I mean, you know, yeah, maybe among college professors and business people and politicians and newspaper editors and newspaper journalists. Yeah, Europe, woo, 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 woo. Treaty of Lisbon. Yeah, woo, 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 woo. Let's go with the European Central Bank, Eurobonds. Yeah, but again, among the mass of the population, the people that don't have college degrees, the people that do not speak foreign languages, they don't think about Europe all the time. They think about football. They think about food. They think about their jobs. They think about their loved ones. And they might think a little bit about Europe when it comes time to vote in elections, and people like Nigel Farage in Britain or Marine Le Pen in France say European Union is threatening French culture. And that scares some people, and it gets some political marginalized deviant people some votes. But among the ruling groups that have established themselves after World War II in these countries, they're all into Europe. And so I think that's implied by your statement there. And that references constructivism, that there's this idea to construct Europe that dominates in the thinking of the establishment post-World War II ruling elite in Western Europe and now in Eastern Europe, that after 2 world wars, we've got to fix this problem or we're going to die. We're going to have a nuclear war. World War III will be the last one because we fought with nuclear weapons. This is during the Cold War, of course. And this is how we bring peace to Europe. We must bring peace to Europe. So you go on, the European Union includes both sides of transnationalism and intergovernmentalism. Yeah, and you know, this has become more prominent in studying studying the European Union and understanding the European Union, that really, wow, it's, yeah, you have a European Parliament and you have a European Commission, but it's the will of the leaders of the European powerful states to cooperate and use the European Union, use the European Central Bank, use the European Parliament, use the European Commission, use the European Union institutions that really makes this work. And this is called liberal intergovernmentalism, because these are liberal ruling elites. And that's an important point. You know, that if I'm a French establishment politician, Emmanuel Macron, I'm a nice guy. I like democracy. I like capitalism. I know I have to win elections, though. And the mass of the French people, many of them are not so nice people, just like they're not so nice people in USA or Russia or China. And they can vote in elections too. And I have to get some of them to vote for me. So sometimes I say nasty things because I got to win elections. I got to get millions of people to vote for me. But they also understand, as professional politicians, that they all face this same burden, that I'm an elected leader in France. I know you in Italy also have to win elections. You, the leader of Italy, you have to win elections too. So I understand we have to play a little game. We've got to talk like we're nationalists. But then when we go into the European Council and we close the door, we're going to be open with each other and honest about building this European Union. And the European Union institutions the leaders of the European Union institutions, their job, like the president of the European Council, their job or the European Commission, their job is to help these national leaders cooperate with each other, coordinate with each other, collaborate with each other. They help this intergovernmentalism work more efficiently. And because they understand, but these leaders understand that they all face the same, there's limits to what they can do. I mean, I want to create a European, let's say, if I'm the leader of Germany, yeah, I would like to create a European army, but I know the German people will not tolerate creating a European army if it means separating from the United States. They won't accept it, and they'll vote me out of office if I push that too hard. So sorry, Emmanuel Macron, you might have big dreams about creating a European military, but the German people will not, the German voters will not support that. And so you have to understand, French leader, that I have to get reelected, and there are ugly people in Germany who want to replace me, just like there are ugly people in France who want to replace you, and there are ugly people in Italy that want to replace Mario Draghi. So we make as much progress as we can, but it's a slow process until there's a big crisis that really pushes and accelerates things further. And that's what this pandemic has done, right? What's the big word that emerges in English describing the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic? One big word they use is a catalyst. You know what a catalyst is? A catalyst in chemistry is a chemical that speeds up things that are already happening. So a catalyst makes it go faster. So there was already a push, slow push to move more and more towards a stronger Eurozone. But then there are these crises that make a catalyst that accelerate this process even further. And the first crisis that was talked about in the textbook is the Greek debt crisis from 2010. The big world financial crisis, and then the Greek debt crisis. And that saw a big increase in the financial capabilities of the European Central Bank and strengthening the Eurozone. And then the book is published, our textbook, I'm pointing at the textbook over here. Our textbook was published right when the COVID-19 was beginning. And since then, you've seen this incredible quickening of the increase of the powers of the European Central Bank and the European Eurozone. So now the European Union is selling Euro bonds. So, I mean, that's been that, but those typically happen, those periods of big, fast action happen when there's a crisis, and that response to the crisis builds upon achievements and agreements that were already reached earlier. They don't, so even in those cases, the European leaders are building upon what they've already started, but they just go faster. And I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I'm reading every day, and it's this European Union. I mean, it's becoming the United States of Europe, thanks to the pandemic. And it's changing like almost like month by month. I mean, so they announced at the end of last year, beginning of this year, next generation European Union. They're going to spend 800 billion euros in loans and grants that the European Union is going to generate by selling Euro bonds as investments to the international investment community to buy. And Angela Merkel never wanted to do that before the COVID-19 pandemic. 2 months ago, she said, okay, we're going to do it this time, but only once. Then I read 3 days ago, they're going to do it again. They're going to do this every year. That's just like the United States selling treasury bonds to cover its budget deficit to raise hundreds of billions of dollars every year. Like, wow. So And this is all about constructing this idea called Europe. Remember, South Korea, where does South Korea exist? You look around, what do you see? You see people, you see buildings. South Korea exists only here. That's the only place South Korea exists, is here. Catholic University of Korea exists only here. United States, China, Russia, they exist only here. So can we make European Union exist here as strongly as China exists here, as South Korea exists here, as North Korea exists here? How do you do that? Well, certainly economic integration is one way. I mean, when I don't have any euros here, but you know, if everybody's using, I don't have any euros, but if everybody's using euros, 80% of a person's social life, right, is connected with buying things and working and getting money. I mean, you think about your career. My career as a professor, right? I can't be a professor unless somebody pays me. So even that's economics. So if everybody's using euros, that and euros are real, a belief that people really believe exists in the form of the European Union exists in the euro, then that's a big step in creating this European Union up here. And keep in mind, they're having no trouble selling those bonds on the bond markets. They started in June, like 4 months ago, they started selling these bonds, and people are buying them, and they're buying them at low profit, like at low interest rate, because they consider it to be a safe investment. In other words, as far as the people who are buying those euro bonds are concerned, Europe exists, and Europe will exist 5, 10, 20 years from now in the form of the European Union. It's real. And we, as the leaders of banks and companies and investment funds, we can invest our money in euro bonds because we believe the European Union is here and it's stable and it's going to be here 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. Just like China is going to be here 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. Just like, well, I don't know if South Korea will be here. Maybe it will reunify with North Korea and it'll become something new. You can't always take that for granted, right? Will North Korea exist? Will South Korea exist? Will they reunite? Soviet Union, obsosoyo. Yugoslavia, obsosoyo. European Union, isoyo. And it looks like it's going to, and the people that are buying those euro bonds think it's going to continue to exist for years and years. I mean, you know, they're investing hundreds of billions of dollars, thousands and trillions of won in that belief. And it's a safe investment. That's why they get little interest rate return, because it's considered to be safe. You know, if you don't take a risk, you don't make a profit. So if there's little risk, there's little profit. But not everybody's in the Eurozone, right? Only 19 of the 27 member states are in the Eurozone. So that's you know, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think professors have to teach, because it really helps me write. That's one of the reasons we have to teach, is because I get lots of new ideas. I mean, I really learned from this class this semester the importance of the Eurozone, an economic and monetary union, EMU, economic and monetary union. It's the Eurozone. Because once you're in the euro, you're in. You can't get out. There was talk about, we talk about Brexit, British exit from the European Union. That was a cute word that came originally after Grexit. There was talk about maybe Greece exiting the Eurozone and the European Union. Greece, GR, exit, Grexit. So we talked about Brexit, 10 years ago. Was there going to be Grexit? And then the European Union came in and said, under Mario Draghi, who's now the Prime Minister of Italy, he was the central bank president of the European Union, the European Central Bank president. He said in 2012, we will do whatever is necessary to keep Greece in the Eurozone. In other words, we're going to buy all the Greek bonds if they can't sell them to investors. We will just print euros. We'll create more euros and we'll just buy them that way. And he went, oh my God, what about inflation? I mean, if you're going to just print euros, it's going to cause, no, there's been no inflation since then. Inflation's been just like in the US, it's been really low. And And then people say, oh, Greece is staying in. Yay, yay, we'll give it. And the European Union, mostly Germany, gave them 300 billion euros in loans. This little country of 10 million people, it's about the size of Seoul, got 300 billion euros in loans covered mainly by Germany. And then people say, oh, yeah, I guess it's, yeah, oh, euros for real. And then Britain was talking about having a referendum, and they said, oh, Brexit? How about, is there going to be a Brexit? Oh, let's talk about a Brexit. And oh my God, the British voted to leave. Most people, not everybody, most people were surprised. Because, you know, we people, the elite of Europe and the college professors, we don't talk to the mass of the people in Italy, in France, in Germany, and Britain. We only talk to each other. We go, oh, European Union. Oh, we love European Union. You love European Union? Yeah, I love European Union. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And we live in our own little world. The British voted to leave. And that's why ever since then, there have been no more referendums. The European Union has been developing more and more powerfully. And they're not having any kind of they're not having any more referendums like they had in Britain in 2016. The French used to have referendums for their treaties. They rejected the Constitution Treaty. Remember, in 2004, the French people said no. They almost rejected the Maastricht Treaty in 1992. Just passed by like half a percentage point. No more referendums. Again, this constructivist notion, this elite in Europe says, this must work. This European integration has to work for peace in Europe. And we can't screw it up. And if it means that I might have to lose my job because I'm not anti-European enough, well, like that's what happened with Gerhard Schroeder. Gerhard Schroeder, and it's the Germans, because the German, again, it's that legacy of the Second World War. We don't talk about that much. It's not talked about in the book, but it's like this looming shadow in the back. The bad things that Germany did in World War II. So all the ruling German elite, except for these fringe elements, they're all committed to making sure this European project works, because that's the only way Germany can thrive after 2 world wars. And people still remember the horrible things that the Germans did, just as bad as anything that Japan did in World War II, the Germans did. And so, I mean, when German elites like Gerhard Schroeder, he was the prime minister for the Social Democratic Party before Angela Merkel came in 15 years ago. And he had to undertake unpopular reforms of the labor market in Germany called the Hartz reforms. He reduced the pensions for unemployment. He made it more, and he was the leader of the Workers' Party, the Social Democratic Party, and he undertook those reforms. And guess what? He lost the next elections to Angela Merkel. But the Germans they understand among the establishment elite that they have to do that. They have to make this European thing work. So they put up the money for Brexit, for saving the Greek economy. 300 billion euros. They and they are the foundation of the Eurozone. And most European, not all, but most Europeans, they don't have a problem with Germany. They're not afraid of German money. They're not afraid of German economic power. Even though Germany is by far the economic Superman of Europe, they're not afraid of German money or German economic power. And why? The European Union. The European Union is real. At least people really believe that if German company invests in Poland, they're not going to use their economic control of Polish territory, of Polish resources to try to dominate Polish politics. I never come across that in the media. And I think it's because they really have convinced Polish people and others that German economic power is just as part of the European Union. They're so intertwined that Germany cannot use its economic power to control Poland or any other country because it can't, because of the European Union. And and that's I mean, you know, we don't talk about this, but I mean, I'm just going on here. Do you have any questions?
Oh, Professor, do I have to fix this red sentences?
No, I mean, put the page numbers in. I mean, one of the reasons why I write these comments is because I want us to have a discussion. I want you to think, you know, because by writing and then commenting on it, you learn more. So, you know, I mean, you can do with whatever you want with me, with my red comments. Make sure you put in the page numbers though. Put the page numbers in. But, you know, I just make these comments, and you can think about, make sure you keep it under the word limit of 550 words, you know, for the length of the paper. And, you know, but, you know, I mean, I just wanted you to think more and learn more. So, you know, that's why I write comments.
And also I can, if I want to fix it, I can fix these sentences.
Yeah.
And also, do we have a class next week?
Well, I just got the notice today that we're going to still be 100% online next week, but starting Monday, November 1, we go back to hybrid. So during the 2-hour class on Friday, we will meet on Friday, November 5. We will meet Friday, November 5 in class.
In class?
On November 5, first week of November. Not next
5?
week, the week after. The university just sent out, it's on the university website. They just announced that starting from November 1, we will go back to some class meetings. But not next week, the week after.
Because, okay.
So we'll still meet, just next week, we'll still meet online, 100% online, okay? Any other questions?
No. Could you send this?
Yeah, of course, and I'll send you the link too, okay? Send what?
I'll send this first draft on my email.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll send them both. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Professor.